Beautiful people, welcome back to our channel. So guys, we are going to talk about how you can study in Portugal, how you can apply to Portuguese schools and successfully move to Portugal as an international student, and so many things. All right, basically how you can move to Portugal. Now I want to make this video again so that those who do not know should actually know the process. And if you have been thinking of immigrating to Portugal as an international student, then you should get ready, or let me say you should prepare yourself, because there is a process you have to undergo. Okay, so now let's start with the details. And before I even go into the details, please follow our page, share our video, like our video, and again make sure you watch the video to the very end, because it is going to be a very detailed video. I don't want to rush with it, but if you really don't have much money and you want to immigrate, then when you watch this video, do exactly the things I'm going to tell you now. You may succeed. Okay, it is very true. I'm just telling you the facts. Now, if you want to study in Portugal, you should first of all think, or you should know what you want to study. Do you want to study a bachelor's programs? Do you want to study a postgraduate? Do you want to study a master's? And also remember, qualifications also matter a lot when it comes to studies in Portugal. So first, if you want to study a bachelor's degree, you need to get high school documents like WAEC, O levels, A levels, and so many WASI as well. If you want to study a master's, you need to get a bachelor's degree ready and a transcript. Okay, now for those of you with HND, there are certain schools in Portugal that may accept your HND, but not every university can accept this. I'm just telling you so that you should be aware of it. We are done. When you know your requirements, now it's time to go to the search. What are you searching? You have to search the schools you actually want to apply to. It is a very important factor for you to know how to do the search. Now what you need to do is to basically go to Google. Okay, you type English universities in Portugal. Why did I say you type English universities in Portugal? The reason is because most Portuguese universities don't teach bachelor's programs in English. Some teach just masters. Others don't even teach the masters. They mix it with both Portuguese and English. So you need to put all these things into consideration before you even start looking at the programs. Now when you search these universities, they are going to come out, right? Take them one after the other and place them back on Google to be able to see the programs that they offer. That's point number one. Now when you are on the school website, make sure you check the language of instruction. I am checking my jotter because there are a lot of things I actually put down here, so I want you guys to actually know. Check the language of instructions. Like I said, some schools in Portugal will teach you in English and the Portuguese language, so language of instruction is very important. Also check the courses. Okay, if they are teaching in Portuguese, or if they are not teaching in Portuguese, which courses are they teaching in English, or which are they teaching in Portuguese? Because of course, as an international student, you want to study in English, right? Yes, that is it. But if you think that studying in the Portuguese language is what you really want, it's possible. You speak to the school. You have done this, you can equally use Google Translation, okay, or you use external websites to actually give you the results you need. Now when you have done the search, remember I said it also depends on the language of instruction. And now when you have done the search, you also need to put so many things into consideration, like the tuition fee, the requirement, how the fees is paid, budget in total. Okay, now let me tell you that if you are looking at Portuguese universities, you should understand that most of them charge between 1,000 to like 4,000 to 6,000 euros per year. I'm talking about. All right, so when you already find the school, you should also know the requirements that you need to apply to this particular school or to this particular program. Then after checking all of this, you should also know that the fees also matters. And remember, most Portuguese universities will ask you to pay in installments. This is something I want you to know. Point number one. Then again, you should understand that a school like the University of Cumbria would not refund your money back in case your visa is rejected. That is just to tell you that most schools in Portugal, some, not most, but some, would not refund your money back. Tuition deposit, I mean by your money. Okay, so before you even pay, before you try to apply, note that in case your visa is rejected, you may not get if you apply to the University of Cumbria. Now, others may refund, but like I said, do your due diligence. For those asking for student jobs, there are student jobs in Portugal, things that can at least feed you and pay your rents. Now, when you have noticed all of this, remember I said tuition is also paid in installments. Put this into consideration. It's so important. Now, after this, you need to check the requirements to apply to Portugal. Now, depending on the program, your requirement may vary. Okay, your own may vary. You may not have the same requirements as person B. For example, to study a bachelor's program in English, you need your WAEC, your O levels and A levels, or your WASI. To study a master's program in English, you need your bachelor's degree and a transcript in addition to those high school documents. To study PhD, you need what? A master's degree. Now, somebody going to a different school may also have other requirements like a motivation letter, CV, an application fee. That is to tell you that in general, the requirements are your high school qualifications, your bachelor's degree and the transcripts, your CV, your motivation letter, and of course your application fee. Some schools may ask you for reference letters. That is something I may not know or I may not have enough knowledge on. But again, like I said, check the school websites properly because it's very important. Now, remember, these documents I just told you or I just gave you now, you will need to authenticate the documents. Okay, and what is the process of authentication? You now remember there are so many processes. You do authentication, you do legalization, you do super legalization, you do a notification depending on the country you are applying to. But for Portugal, you will just do authentication. What's authentication? You take the documents to the Ministry of Education in your country and of course the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now for Cameroon, it depends the school in which you come from. If your document is coming from the GCE board, go there and collect from the GCE board, addressing it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then you go to the ministry and that is done. If your certificates are from UB, University of Boya, you go to UB and take certified copies of your result or attestation of completion of studies or your degree. Then you take an original transcript, you add it, then you now carry them to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I don't know the prices involved. I hope you understand. But those with HND and those who didn't study at the University of Boya, it all depends on you now. Please verify where you are to go. I cannot say something that I don't know. Nigerians, the process is same for you. You take your documents to the Ministry of Education. After that, Foreign Affairs. Then you apply to schools in Portugal. It all depends. Like I said, some schools will want you, few schools in Portugal will want you to do verification of those results. Which means that what you will now carry those after the Ministry of Education and Foreign Affairs, you now need to carry them to the Portuguese embassy. Few schools, I didn't say all. So you have to note all of this down. It's so important. To move to Portugal is relatively easy, just that some people do not know. And how do you know that those schools are asking for verification? From the school website. If they don't ask for it, do it and end at the level of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But if they ask for it, you have to go up to the point of the Portuguese embassy. So these are the things that you need to put into consideration. Now, for you to do, because you need these documents in this format before you can proceed with your application. I have said it many times. Now, when you have done the documents, all right, or if you finish with this, when you are checking the schools, you also need to put application deadline into consideration. Most schools in Portugal, they have 3 phases of admissions, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Okay, and remember I said tuition fee is paid in installments in Portugal. You can even be allowed to pay in 10 installments. For example, if your tuition is just maybe 2,000 euros per semester or per year, you may be given 10 installments to pay, which means that every month you may be paying 175 euros or maybe 200 euros. It all depends now on the university and you. So that's how cheap it is to study in Portugal, and you can move with your family, guys. Yes, you can move to Portugal with your family. Okay, then then again, remember the phases of admissions. When you finish with the authentication of your documents, that's the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If your school didn't ask you to do verification, you cannot go to the embassy. But if they ask you, now you can go to the embassy before you start applying. Okay, so it's always good to know the schools you want to apply to first. And remember, I said there are 3 phases for admissions: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Now phase 1 is generally the first phase. If the spots that the school need are not filled completely, they will now open phase 2. If phase 2 spots are not filled completely, they will now open phase 3. So for those of you who want to ask me, oh Milton, which school is open, I may not know. Wait for me. When I do my research, I will bring the information. But if you want to go ahead of me, do your own research to know the schools. Now let's talk. I will give you a list of some universities you should check. I don't know if they are open or not, but I'm going to give you all those details very soon. Now let's take a look at the next phase of the application process for you to study in Portugal. Like I said, you can move with your family, okay? And I'm going to talk about visa application. Anybody can sponsor you to study in Portugal, so you shouldn't get discouraged because you do not have money yourself. And maybe you are thinking, just make sure you prove that this person is capable, okay?